Here's your Forbes Daily Briefing for Wednesday, February 14th. Today on Forbes, meet the Bryan Johnson approved AI full-body MRI startup that just raised $21 million. Bryan Johnson is the self-proclaimed, quote, most measured person in human history. Johnson, who became a millionaire selling his online payments startup to PayPal for $800 million, is the new poster boy for an old Silicon Valley obsession, so-called biohacking your body to extend your lifespan. He takes routine measurements of everything from his blood to his stool as part of his anti-aging quest. But Johnson told Forbes he believes there is one, quote, gold standard measurement tool to rule them all, the full-body MRI. The medical imaging technique uses powerful magnets to generate highly detailed pictures of your insides, including organs, bones, joints, and blood vessels. Johnson loves them. He said, quote, I just did an MRI on every joint in my body in preparation for stem cell therapy. I'm doing one on my brain. I'm using it to quantify my body muscle and fat. In the next month, I'll be doing 6 MRIs. One of his go-to providers of the service is New York-based startup Ezra, which uses artificial intelligence to speed up the process, with the goal of making full-body scans accessible enough that people get them regularly. Usually MRIs are done for a specific reason, targeting a specific area of the body. But for Ezra's founder and CEO, Amit Gal, a biohacker and longevity enthusiast himself, regular full-body scans should be a universal pre-screening tool, a way to catch any potential condition you might have, from cancer to bladder stones, early enough to treat it. Now, Ezra has announced a fresh $21 million in venture funding to take full-body scans mainstream. With $41 million in total funding, Ezra is now valued between $100 million and $150 million, according to a person in a position to know. Gal said that since Ezra was founded in 2018, 7,000 people have done its full-body scans, which cost $2,500 a pop and aren't covered by insurance. About 1/3 of them are, quote, the Bryan Johnsons of the world, wealthy biohackers who work in tech. The rest are what he calls the, quote, cancer conscious. But medical experts are concerned that full-body MRI scans could do more harm than good for the majority of patients, setting up people who have no specific risk of cancer or another illness for overtreatment and overdiagnosis. Not to mention the skyrocketing costs of a bunch of unnecessary follow-up procedures. Gal said Ezra offers a screening full-body scan, and if it shows any indication of cancer or one of 500 conditions Ezra looks for, there would be a follow-up diagnostic exam outsourced to the patient's regular doctor. He said, quote, if you ask 10 people on the street, would you like to do a scan that might require you to do a follow-up scan, or would you like to die of cancer? Pretty much all of them will say, give me the follow-up scan. While this argument is logical and appeals to the average person, it's not grounded in science, according to Matthew Davenport, a radiologist and professor at the University of Michigan. Professor Davenport told Forbes, quote, not all cancer is the same. Depending on the organ, anywhere from 15 to 75% of cancers are indolent. Indolent is a medical term, meaning that the cancer has a very low likelihood of spreading or shortening their life expectancy. This is why medical guidelines around screening for cancer always take into account the patient's probability of getting cancer in the first place. For example, does this person have a family history of cancer, or live or work in an environment where they might be exposed to toxins? Otherwise, this leads to what Davenport calls a, quote, cascade of care, meaning workups, diagnoses, biopsies, and treatments that the patient might not even need in the first place. He said, quote, it makes me sad because I think these companies are preying on people's vulnerabilities and fears. Now they start living with this idea that they have something lurking in their body, which never would have harmed them in the first place if it hadn't been detected. For full coverage, check out Rashi Shrivastava and Katie Jennings' piece on Forbes.com. This is Kieran Meadows from Forbes. Thanks for tuning in.